CBS Sports HQ, the first Sunday in the NFL brought all the vibes in week one. It all culminated in the game of the season already. I feel premature in saying that, but also kind of validated. It was absolute fireworks as the Bills rallied from a 15-point deficit to beat the Ravens 41-40. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson continuing to prove they are top dogs in the game right now. Allen alone, nearly 400 passing yards, led the league in completions as well, earning AFC Offensive Player of the Week nominees. He also earns the right to be our top quarterback, according to our CBS Sports NFL Power Rankings. Lamar Jackson coming in just behind him. I believe these are Cody Benjamin's quarterback rankings that we're going to go through as well. As you see, Jalen Hurts in at number 3. Back here on our set here at CBS Sports HQ, Haley Sutton alongside Amanda Guerra, and we've got our NFL crew, Pete Prisco and Leger Douzable, going through quarterback rankings through the first week of the season. Guys, I want to start with Justin Herbert, who makes his way into the top 5. And it's interesting, we had Keenan Allen on HQ yesterday, had a chance to talk to him, and I said, what growth have you seen out of Justin Herbert? And he specifically said, composure, confidence, and owning the offense. So, Pete, when you hear a guy like Keenan Allen who picks right up where he left off there, he says those things about Justin Herbert, how does that make you feel?
Well, it's a proving time for Justin Herbert. There are a lot of people out there who say he's overrated. I'm not one of them. I think he's a great quarterback. He has to win in the postseason. But what we saw in that opener was a guy who was confident throwing the ball down the field. He's always had the big arm, but he just looked like he was in a rhythm. And I think Greg Roman did a great job of getting him in a rhythm, setting him up to make these plays down the field off of run plays. And they're great in play action, and he seems to feast on it. The good thing is, Johnson got going.
Yeah.
I mean, Quentin Johnson, if he can get going, and you have McCarthy and Keenan Allen, who's now a possession receiver, you're going to be able to make some plays down the field. So I love what I saw from Justin Herbert, but quite frankly, I think he might be a couple spots too low after what he did.
Ooh, you got him higher because it is a fluid list, right? It's by week basis. So based off of week one, I would say he probably does belong in the top 3, right? Obviously, we saw what Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson did, but to Pete's point, to me, this was a stepping stone because he was 1-7 versus Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes had owned him in the AFC West. And for him to answer every time Mahomes and the offense went out, that was his biggest question mark because that game always comes down to the wire. And for some odd reason, either Justin Herbert can't finish the game or he leaves a field goal out there instead of scoring a touchdown and then Mahomes comes and breaks his heart. Well, this time he was like, I'm not giving the ball back to this dude. 3rd and 11, right? I'm going to use my mobility, get out of the pocket, get a first down. And sometimes at quarterback, it's not just about the plays that you make throwing. It's just the decision making, right? And to me, that goes back to what you talked about, Pete, playing with confidence and knowing exactly what the defense was in. He saw that they were in man coverage. If I get outside the pocket, there's nobody there to chase me down. Picks up a crucial first down. I love what I saw from him in week one.
You know, the one thing when you watch his games, every single game, there's 2 or 3 throws where you go,
wow. For sure, 100%.
There are only so many people on the planet who can make that throw, and he's one of them.
I feel like I was watching Josh Allen all night on Sunday. The Chargers, by the way, because they did play in Brazil, they get a long break. They're not playing till Monday night against the Raiders. Let's go to Jared Goff. He fell 4 spots in our power rankings, down to number 12. Obviously, he did not have Ben Johnson on his side as his coordinator. He was across the field. Talk to me about, yes, he was with the Bears. I got it straight there, Pete. Way across the field. Way across the field. Was going up against the Packers. He said after the game, I'm not so worried about the red zone. I'm worried about the small details. I'm worried about cleaning them up. But Pete, how concerned are you for Jared Goff?
I'm not concerned because of the new coordinator necessarily. I'm concerned about the offensive line. This is an offense that is predicated on running the football, and they did not run the football. They have a new center. Frank Ragnow retires before the season. Graham Glasgow goes over. It didn't play very well. They have 2 new guards, Mahogany and Tate Ratledge, who's a rookie. They didn't play very well. The tackles didn't play great. And so you added up, they couldn't run the ball. If you can't run the ball, Jared Goff can't be Jared Goff. He feasts off of play action, and he didn't get much of play action because he couldn't run the football. So I'm not worried yet about the offensive coordinator position. I'm more worried about the interior of the offensive line.
Pete, you know what kills me? When everybody says Jared Goff can't play without a great playmaker. Let's not forget, Sean McVay was a first-time head coach when Jared Goff was with him, right? We hadn't seen him call plays in an offense yet. Also, let's not forget Ben Johnson. When the Lions were there with Jared Goff, they were the bottom feeders of the NFL. Like, Ben Johnson became Ben Johnson with Jared Goff in Detroit. So people are coming out saying, well, we haven't seen him really have production without a good offensive play caller. Well, the two guys I just talked about, they grew with Jared Goff. So who's to say that those guys are good offensive coordinators and good play callers, but Jared Goff is not the issue. As Pete said, the offensive line really struggled. If you go back and watch that game, Jared Goff made all the right plays. He had a high completion percentage. He dinked and dunked. To your point, they couldn't get the downfield throwing game going because they couldn't run the ball. They ran for under 50 yards when you talk about their 1-2 tandem running backs in the backfield. So until they fix the interior of that offensive line, it could be a struggle, but I believe they will turn things over and get it going this Sunday.
I was happy that the run game stalled only because in fantasy I was playing against Jahmyr Gibbs, and so I felt pretty good.
He had a rough day at the office.
I was burned too because I have Amon-Ra St. Brown, so I get it both ways. But speaking of fantasy, Jamie Eisenberg told me yesterday that I need to run, not walk, to pick up Aaron Rodgers in my fantasy team as my quarterback. And when we talked on Sunday, I believe you used the phrase vintage Aaron Rodgers. So do we expect that to continue, or was that kind of just week one magic, playing against playing in a revenge game, I should say?
Well, he played against the Jets. They didn't cover anybody. He knows that.
He's not lying. He is not lying.
I mean, these guys were wide open.
Literally.
And look, it wasn't vintage from a drive the ball down the field standpoint. It was a vintage from he still has the arms to make all the throws, the arm strength to make all the throws, and he made them when he needed to. But there wasn't like they were tight windows. These guys were wide open. I do think, though, that he got back to being Aaron Rodgers at the end of the last season when he was with the Jets, and that's kind of carried over. He can move now. He has to be able to move. Early with the Jets, and remember all that talk the year before, oh, well, he'll be back at the end of December when they thought they were good.
When he was practicing.
Surgery.
And then he kind of did himself a disservice because everybody expected him to be Aaron Rodgers again when he came back, and he wasn't healthy. He couldn't move. When he could move, he started to look like Aaron Rodgers again. We saw him moving last week. He moved a lot, and he throws well on the move. So I think that's the biggest difference. I think it can carry over, and I think he's going to continue to make plays in the passing game.
It'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out because to Pete's point, when you go back and watch the film, guys were wide open in zone coverage. DK Metcalf, most of his yards were run after catch, and guys weren't even in the vicinity of chasing him down to tackle him. So I give kudos to Aaron Rodgers because your number one job as a quarterback is to get the ball into the playmaker's hands, and that's what he did. He did it at a high level, 4 touchdown passes. But to Pete's point, guys were wide open. So to me, this is a wait and see if Aaron Rodgers is truly back because the guy that put fear in the hearts of men was a guy that could get outside the pocket and throw it on a dime for 60-plus yards. We didn't see that in this game, Pete. Guys were like, look at this. Guys are wide open on the screen. Nobody. But that's why I said I give him kudos because he went to the open guy, and that's your job as the quarterback. But we didn't actually see the vintage Rodgers. Let's continue to wait and see what the season holds for us.
One thing about the Steelers, they better run the ball better, or it's not going to be as pretty and as easy as it was.
They better stop the run too.
Yeah, both.
Well, let me follow up with this because both of you are wanting to see more from Aaron Rodgers as the season goes along. So taking a look at their schedule, because it's not too terrible in the beginning. They have the Seahawks, Patriots, Vikings, then the Browns, then Bengals, Packers. When are you going to know what Aaron Rodgers is?
They're going to let you know right away.
This weekend is going to be your biggest test.
The Seahawks defense is going to let them know right away.
Seahawks defense was really good last week.
They're a good defense.
Okay, let's go to the two guys we saw facing off on Monday night, J.J. McCarthy and Caleb Williams, both drafted in the same class, but of course, we are just now seeing J.J. McCarthy because he was hurt all of last season. The Bears lost by 3 in this one. Pete, has J.J. McCarthy passed Caleb Williams in your power rankings, in your mind at least?
For this week, he would be ahead of him.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, and by the way, I'm with you on J.J. McCarthy mania. It's a little out of control.
You like it? Because there was a lot of concern before the season began, I felt like.
I had a lot of concern about him. Yeah,
I think a lot of our folks did.
And I still do, by the way. One quarter does not erase that. He was awful for 3 quarters.
Correct.
The pick 6 was horrendous. And then he seemed to show something in the 4th quarter. Kevin O'Connell made it easy on him, and that's the biggest difference. He's the guy that can scheme up these plays to make it easy. I'll give him credit. He made a bullet in the middle of the field to Justin Jefferson. That is a big-time throw. The throw to Aaron Jones was actually behind him, and he had to make a good catch. That's an easy throw. It's an easy read. You throw it out. It's either incomplete or it's going to be a touchdown, one or the other. And then the run, well-designed play by Kevin O'Connell.
No question.
So I think we have to hold off a little bit on the mania of J.J. McCarthy. You give him credit because he rallied from being in garbage. And that's the one thing you wonder about a young quarterback. Can he come out from underneath it? He did. And I give him all the credit in the world. But I think the J.J. McCarthy hoopla is out of control. But for this week, I would take McCarthy over Caleb Williams.
You know they named him NFC Offensive Player of the Week?
That's ridiculous.
Did they really?
Right? Yeah, he did. He won
He threw for
NFC
150 yards. He threw for 150 yards.
I'm with Pete. Like, I love how he handled adversity, but you cannot have him in front of Caleb Williams, even though it's based off of this week because of one quarter, because I thought Caleb Williams played significantly better than him the first half. Now, Caleb Williams kind of reverted back to his old ways in regards to holding the football in the second half, and you don't want to see that. But to Pete's point, it was one quarter we saw from J.J. McCarthy. We're going to have to see this multiple times. Now, again, I love that the young kid, under that type of pressure, after playing as bad as he did, because you talked about the one bullet pass to Justin Jefferson. When you look at the first couple third downs, he was looking at the rush. He wasn't even looking down the field. It was like he was a deer in the headlights. So for him to be able to get himself out of that and handle that adversity and make some big-time throws, and I actually heard Aaron Jones in the interview say something really interesting. I believe it was right after the pick six. He's in the huddle with the team and said, "Hey, fellas, where else would you guys rather be?" And this is after a guy just threw a pick six to extend the lead for the Chicago Bears, which lets you know this kid has a lot of moxie and confidence. So I love that aspect of it, but I just need to see more consistency. It can't just be one quarter.
Somebody should have said, well, in a huddle with Sam Darnold. How about that?
Oh, my God. That is diabolical.
I will add, because I did get the NFL's email about him being Offensive Player of the Week, became the first starting quarterback to overcome a 10-point deficit in the fourth quarter in an NFL debut. Also joins Tom Brady as a former Michigan quarterback to win Player of the Week. So he did do some good stuff. So
oh, no, for sure. In the fourth quarter, for sure.
Yeah, you got to give him credit for that.
How do we feel about the eye black on J.J. McCarthy's?
I'm okay with that.
You're okay with that?
I think he did it at Michigan, so
one thing both those two guys have to realize.
Do tell.
Open in college football is not
totally different.
It's totally different in the NFL. You can't hold it until they're wide open like you could in the NFL.
I really thought you were going somewhere else. I thought you were about to go into like a fashion world.
No.
Okay. We got to the football, and I appreciate that.
If you play, I don't care what you come dressed as or what you're wearing on your nails.
All right. Well, let's talk about your favorite quarterback, it seems, lately, Russell Wilson. He sometimes shows up flashy, sometimes he doesn't, sometimes he doesn't show up at all, like we kind of saw in that game for the Giants. He is dead last on this list. So, Leger, clearly there's some things that are not working out with Russell Wilson, but something Rand pointed out earlier this week as well, too, from the front office perspective. He said if they saw something in Jackson Dart, they would have him be the starter, right? Like if they believed in him, they would. So there might be a reason why why Russell is still the starter. At what point do you think we see Jackson Dart? Are we out on Russell Wilson? How are we feeling?
First and foremost, I'm surprised Tua wasn't last on this list because he didn't play well at either. I know Russell Wilson took some sacks and the offense looked abysmal. But as far as Jackson Dart not playing right now, to me, I think it's more an indictment on the offensive line. Right, that offensive line played abysmal in that game versus the Washington Commanders. And also, Andrew Thomas, their left tackle, he's still not back from injury. So I think this is something where if you're the head coach, Coach Dayball, you're like, I don't want to put this young quarterback behind this current offensive line because he's going to be in duress. The last thing I want to see him is regress because we've seen so much progression throughout the preseason with Jackson Dart. And I know you were saying that Rand said if they saw something, I mean, what more do you need to see? I saw it in the preseason.
He was more just giving that perspective.
In practice
if Jackson Dart was so impressive, if we were so impressed with what we saw in the preseason, why is that least not
I've also heard the opposite of that, though, that they're holding him and they will put him in when they know they're fighting for their jobs.
Well, they're fighting for their jobs right now.
That's the other argument. I feel like I also agree that's right now.
I think he's right about that. I think they're protecting him because of the offensive line. And by the way, Russell Wilson had a great view of the offensive line because that's all he looks at is the offensive line. His eye level.
I mean, the way as quick as they was getting back.
I don't care. You can't play quarterback that way in the NFL.
You can't stay on the rush now.
You know, he should be the backup quarterback. That's what he is. He's a backup quarterback in the NFL.
Come on, Russell.
Yeah, Jackson Dart should be playing. You need to play him because you got to find out what he is. The sooner you find out what he is, the sooner you can get on with the next guy if he isn't any good.
So when do they make the change?
My thing is you got to be careful, right? Because the players in our locker room, if they feel like Jackson gives them a better chance, we already saw Malik Neighbors kind of blow up at Brian Daboll on the sideline. Like, you got to make that change or you'll use the locker room. I know people were saying it's a soft landing spot versus the New Orleans Saints maybe week 5, but to Pete's point, you need to know what this quarterback is made of. You need to put him in there against the better teams.
And here's what I always say about a rookie quarterback. If you put him in there and he struggles and you're afraid of ruining his psyche, then you draft him.
He wasn't the right guy in the first place. Yeah.
To answer your question, Tua is 28 on the list, and I think we talked about the Saints game being a potential post-Saints is maybe when we could see Jackson Dart. But anyways, great discussion, guys.
Yeah.
Love talking ball with all of you, and we also do it on Sundays as well. I keep referencing Sundays. Pete and Damien and myself alongside Rand Carthan.
Where's Rand?
We're going to get Rand.
You gotta Photoshop him in there.
We have to get him on this promo, so hopefully on Sunday he will be there. We will be here bringing you the latest when it comes to all things NFL on Sundays, 8:30 Eastern, streaming right here on CBS Sports HQ.